Welcome back. If it's just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A quick reminder of our top stories now. Court orders final forfeiture of assets allegedly linked to former head of service of the Federation, Winfred Oyoita. President Muhammadu Buhari departs New York after attending United Nations General Assembly sessions, where he participated in socio-economic discussions for Nigeria and Africa. Nigeria's education sector under the spotlight tonight as we continue our series on Nigeria's independence anniversary. And US President Donald Trump is on the defense as White House acknowledges that the government's officials directed filing of Ukraine calls transcript in highly classified systems. For more information on our top stories and others, please visit our website, is channelstv.com. YouTube.com/channelsweb has videos of our shows. Let's now focus more on our education sector, as we did promise you. We're now being joined on the news at 10 by Mr. Busayo Morakinyo, who's an education consultant as well as the community engagement manager at Connected Development Code. I want to thank you so much indeed for joining us on the news at 10 tonight. One incident that readily comes to mind is the recent enrollment by Governor Nasir El-Rufai of his 6-year-old son, Abubakar El-Sadiq, in a public school. Do you think that is something out of the ordinary?
No. So personally for me, I think it was just optics, but it was good optics. We need more public servants to take their children back to the public schools, because a whole lot of them actually went through the public school system. The current public school system we have today is a disgrace, it's an embarrassment to Nigeria. Nigeria is going to be 59, and it's sad that we find ourselves in this situation. So personally, I think the Kaduna State Governor has just set a precedent. I call it optics, though, and I think it's good for him politically. But the real issue is the fact that Nigerian children are out of school. The numbers are high. I don't want to stick to the statistics. You have the 10.5 million, you have the 13.2, 13.5 million. But the truth of the matter is a whole lot of Nigerian children are on the streets currently, and they do not attend schools.
What then would you say should be the quick fixes or solutions, if you will?
So for me personally, I think that we have to go back to the Universal Basic Education Act 2004. Now, it's instructive that act states that there must be free, compulsory education for children for the first 9 years of their schooling. Now, we've not been able to even achieve that in the first place. There's a current movement to expand the Universal Basic Education Act to cover for 12 years compulsory education for children. But now, we've not even done anything with the 9 years. So my thought is basically that the government needs to put in more effort. There's a need for that concerted effort. There's a need for more political will from government to be able to ensure that our children must go to school. I mean, there's a place in the act that says parents that cannot take that can't take their children to school, there are penalties attached to that. Now, I think that if government is serious, and when I talk about government, I talk about government at all levels. I talk about the federal government, the state government, the local government. I think if they are very serious about taking these children back to school, it's a simple thing when political will comes in. But for what we can see now, what we see is basically politics and people making statements, trying to be politically correct. But I think that we cannot have the kind of system we want to have, especially looking at the trend, looking at how thuggery, looking at how hooliganism has probably taken over our space in Nigeria. We cannot achieve that full circle without enforcing the universal basic education. The fact that every child that is born in Nigeria must be able to attend schools, and the schools must be free, no hidden charges. Currently, we have children that cannot go to school just because of 800 naira, and it's a sad reality. Now, so if we want to fix the system, I think we have to do the overhaul, and we have to insist that government must have every child go to school, I mean, for the first 9 years of their lives, so that they can be able to navigate through the rest of their life, even if the government is not going to do anything about their tertiary education.
What then do you make of, especially in the northern part of the country, there was at some point by the previous administration, they did have this Al-Majri system of education and schools built all over the northern part of the country to try to get as many children that are out of school, some of which are today part of that huge number of 13 million out of school children. Do you support a situation whereby the government continues to support the Al-Majri system of education to get children into schools?
Now, so call it whatever name you want to call it. Call it Al-Majri, call it formal. We just need children to go to school. And when they go to school, we want to see that the quality of the education they get is top-notch. So the Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 4, particularly speaks to quality education. Now, quality education, without quality education, we cannot achieve much. Now, we have a whole lot of children out of school, not just in the northern part of the country, by the way. When you look at the southern part of the country, where we don't really look at, there are a whole lot of children that do not go to school. There are children that go to school and they study under unconducive situations. We just saw a video that was trending sometime this week with children in school, and it was raining. Now, these are realities. Now, so forget about the Al-Majri system, as it were. Let them go to school. Let them be able to afford that education. Let the education come to them. Let it be quality. Let it be free. Let it be open enough. Now, we also have a problem of continuity in government. Now, the former government built Al-Majri schools. I'm not sure those schools are functional till today. Now, we have a situation where probably those schools have been turned into IDP camps, or I really don't know the situation. But my position as an individual and as a Nigerian moving into 59 years of independence is the fact that children must go to school. Children should be in school. We shouldn't have children roaming around the street, be it in the northern part of the country or the southern part of the country.
That's a good place to let it rest. Mr. Busayo Morakinyo, who is an education consultant as well as a community engagement manager at Connected Development Code. Many thanks indeed for talking to us here on the News at 10.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's turn attention to electoral matters now. The Independent National Electoral Commission today announced the disqualification of 14 political parties from contesting the Bayelsa and Kogi state governorship elections scheduled for November the 16th. The Commission says it took the decision because its preliminary review of the list and personnel particulars submitted by the parties at the close of nomination indicated that some of the governorship and deputy governorship candidates were below the minimum age prescribed by the Constitution. INEC's National Commissioner and Chairman of its Information and Voter Education Committee, Mr. Festus Okoye, explains that in Bayelsa State, 6 of the nominated governorship and/or deputy governorship candidates were affected, while in Kogi State there were 8 nominees. INEC therefore cleared 23 political parties to contest the governorship elections in Kogi State, while 45 political parties were cleared to contest the governorship elections in Bayelsa State. Both elections come up on the same day, on November 16. You're watching the News at 10 on Channels Television, reaching you live from Lagos. Let's cross over to our Abuja studios now, where Linda Ikigwe is standing by to take us through a couple of more stories. Linda?
Hello, Gimba. About 300 people, including children who were allegedly detained by an operator of an illegal Islamic school, have been rescued by operatives of the Kaduna State Police Command. The victims were rescued during a sting operation led by the Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, Ali Janga, at the premises of the illegal institution in the Rigasa area of Igabi local government area of the state. Some of the victims hail from neighboring African countries, including Mali and Burkina Faso, while some others were in chains.
Rigasa, an agrarian community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. Apart from being one of the most densely populated communities in the state, it's also predominantly Islamic. The inscription on the signboard on this building portrays it to be a place to acquire Islamic knowledge and sound moral upbringing for children. And this has been the belief of many residents of the community. But the invasion of the center by police operatives on Thursday evening and the startling revelations of alleged atrocities being perpetrated by the operators leaves many residents in shock. The operation, which is the product of information volunteered by a concerned resident, took everyone by surprise.
In the sake of peace, all this fanaticism that is happening in Nigeria, they should check all these illegal structures and make a proper investigation about this kind of issue.
Among the inhabitants of this facility are children in their teens as well as some adults who have been chained hand and foot. Many are said to have come from faraway Mali and Burkina Faso. Besides the scars of evident torture in their bodies, the victims also claim they are forced into daily Quranic recitations in addition to being subjected to sexual molestation. The raid for them is liberation from slavery. Previously, any attempt to escape attracts severe punishment.
They used to hang people up there. In the next building there, they used to hang people whenever they built them. So we always discuss every day, whosoever you see. Some days back, just 17 children just left there.
They used to beat us even when we go to observe our prayers. The man has so many canes he uses in flogging us every time. I'm 14 years old. It was my father that told them to bring me here, and my brother brought me down.
However, the operator of the home has a different story. He claims that parents brought their children to him for rehabilitation. He also denies all allegations of molestation and explains that those in chains are the stubborn ones.
All we do in the center is teach people Islam. All those allegations of torture, dehumanization, and homosexuality are false and mere allegations. We don't do anything other than recitation of the Quran, pray and worship God. Those chained are the stubborn ones who attempt to run away.
According to the Kaduna State Commissioner of Police, who led the operation, preliminary investigation reveals that the place is neither a rehabilitation center nor an Islamic school.
The man who is operating this so-called rehab or an Islamic school claimed that the parents brought their children here for rehab. But from the look of things, it's not a rehab. So from there, we will evacuate everybody to our police station, then make an announcement. Parents should take their children.
The rescued children have been evacuated from the premises to the Kaduna Police Command headquarters for proper profiling, while investigation continues into the suspects' motive for setting up the center and their mode of operations.
When the News at 10 returns, U.S. President Donald Trump is on the defense as White House acknowledges government officials directed filing of Ukraine call transcript in highly classified systems. As on the international scene, around the world in 5. Join us again.